Somebody please tell me it's working. Let's see if this is working. This is cool if it's working. Give me a minute, folks. Oh, Brother Bow. Oh my goodness. What's going on in Smurfwatch land? All right, we're trying something new here. Got some volume. All right, see if this is working. Let's go to my channel. Oh, I'm live. For real? Is this really working? Wow, it's really working. You're wrong way. Here. Let's fix you. Let's try this. This will work. Well, I guess we're in vertical today. Now what? There we go. We'll figure it out. Live streaming on the phone today, so this might actually solve all my problems. Way to go, Boomer. You figured it out. Okay, let's bring you a little closer. Still fooling with my devices here. Yeah, we're going to do this in vertical today, just because I figured out how to go live on my iPhone. Hi, Squid Games. I'm doing well. How are you? I'm gonna move some shit around here. This we don't need. Yeah, I had kind of a realization that this ought to work, and the problem was between the couch and the keyboard. Sure enough, I was right. Hello, Simba B. Yeah, I just didn't look on my phone, or I was trying to live stream from Studio, YouTube Studio, which is an app for uploading all video and whatnot, but the live stream needs to be done from the YouTube app, not YouTube Studio. So I finally figured that out, and I think the picture is probably better. The sound should be pretty decent. How does it sound? Just give me a thumbs up or whatever. I've got monitors here so I can read the comments. Sounds good. Gonna subscribe. Well, appreciate that. I'm not sure why you weren't subscribed already, but how did you find this channel, Squid Games? I sort of remember the name. I'm not sure where I remember that from. In any case, there was. I mean, we'll let a few people come on in. I don't know if you're all here looking for Lane Myers stuff or if you've seen my material before, but I've been following the Lane Myers story for about a year now and had lots to say as he was doing videos in his chats and whatnot. And through Lane, this is a public service. Yeah, this last 2 or 3 weeks have been kind of really information sparse. There's stuff that Foshin has been posting, which has been helpful, but it's kind of not helpful. I'm up here in Canada, if you guys don't know, and so I feel there's only so much I can do, and without Lane showing up every night at 1 in the morning for me, I really have no idea what's going on. What's more, I had bring it a little closer still. I had downloaded the app to message him, so I put $10 on the account or whatever it was, and so he sent a message back, or he sent a message to me just to say hi. I guess he saw that I had opened an account, but I can't send messages back to him. So I don't really have anything to say to them other than, I'm with you, supporting you, hope you get out soon. If there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. But I've emailed Lane in the past and said, like, you owe me nothing. I have no expectation for you. You've already helped me understand the system a little better. But I guess with this latest kind of round of lawfare against him, it's revealing, I guess, Lane's deficiencies in managing the system. And that's okay, I don't know if the people that are his followers, and that's not a pejorative, that's not a slur. Like, we're following his story. Like, it's not anything bad to say that you're following what's happening with Lane Myers. Australia, Simbaby, Australia. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to recognize and remember some of the folks here. And yeah, so I am, for the most part, more of an anarchist type, agorism, voluntarism, however you want to think about it, Larkin Rose, James Corbett type of leaning as far as ideologically, and then coming across Lane Myers, he kind of was approaching a topic of interest to me, which is navigating the legal system. Hey, how's it going, Foshin? Is this 7p? Could be. I don't know what 7p means. If it's coded language, you're going to have to send me the code book. 7p. So the way I read it, Lane is exposing the flaws in the judiciary. Well, yeah, by all appearances, I don't know what my phone is set at. I am just discovering that my phone, I can actually do live streams on my phone, because I was fumbling around with all this other ridiculous machinery and contraptions and gadgets and laptops and webcams, and I was today years old when I figured out that I could live stream on my iPhone. I just didn't know which buttons to push. So here we are. I'll figure out the settings. If the video quality is inferior, we'll figure that out at another time. But anyways, yeah, being up here in Canada and seeing what's been going on the last couple of weeks, really don't know how much to say or what can even do to help. I've been tuning into this is a public service to kind of get the latest breaking news, and I went back and heard the hearing from this morning, and yeah, it's a railroading attempt, and the reality is they have all the advantage. Like Lane doesn't have the home court advantage. And so going in there and exposing what's happening, well, he's also exposing his weak underbelly. Like it's the way he was in New Mexico today too. Okay, that's news. Like I haven't been able to follow exactly what's been going on. Uh, One, because I've been busy, and two, it's just don't know exactly who to watch or who's got the latest on what's happening. And it's not that it's that important at this time, because what's going to happen is going to happen. Like if we can help Lane get out, I think that's great. The reality of that at this point, I don't know. I've seen some guys like Michael Eline the other day was talking about a writ of habeas corpus. Well, is somebody helping Lane with that? I don't know. Is Lane open to hearing advice aside from what he's getting from Parvin? I don't know. At this point, it kind of like doesn't matter. He's got another hearing on the 15th or something, from what I understand from today's hearing. There's the New Mexico stuff. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, like you can kind of talk amongst yourselves and maybe we could figure this out together. But I just wanted to give kind of my way in or my opinion, which doesn't matter for much. You know, everybody's opinions are like armpits. Everybody's got a couple of them. And I'm trying to watch the chat. Kent was actually decent. Lane is getting a ton of assistance right now. So yeah, that's good to hear. But I guess what we all want to see is Lane walking free, and I don't know what the process is to actually make that happen. You know, whether it's pressuring the government officials, state representatives in Arizona, wherever he is. It just seems like they may have set a trap, a bit of a honey trap for him, and in any case, he's in a cage. Like that's the stark reality of it. And I'm not trying to be a downer. Like I do support Lane. Like there's more exposure. Yeah. I mean, I made a comment on, I was live last night, and it was just one or two people watching in reality, but a few more people watched it after the fact. But you know, I'm up here in Canada, and the track record of our government and our judiciary is not to respect human rights of any kind or constitutional rights. Here we call them charter rights, and so it's not like I can go to my government and say, until you fix the situation, until they straighten out the situation in Arizona, I want you to close the American embassy and expel the ambassador to Canada. Like, I'm reposting stuff as I can on Twitter, but there's not much of a following there. I'm blabbing about it on YouTube, but again, we want to be careful what we say to not make things worse for Lane. Although I'm not discussing any details of the case, I'm just kind of describing the landscape that I see. So Foshin at this public service has kind of been taking the lead in that sense, as given direction, and I guess taking direction from Lane as what needs to be done or what he wants to get done with us here on the outside. But yeah, it's an appalling thing. Like he's, and it seems that the Arizona statute is overly vague as to what harassment is. But reality, and yeah, this is in honor of Brother Lane. We're having some booch. As well, I think I said this before he came in. This is a public service. I'm on that app, whatever it's called. Oh, it's on this phone. The app to message Lane, but and I saw he sent me a message, but I can't message him back because my red my account needs to be reviewed by the institution, and this is kind of a piss off too. It was $10 I put on the account. That's not, a big deal, but uh, to prevent someone from communicating with Lane, it's just further cruel and unusual punishment. It's the process punishing all of us. That's not that I need to say anything directly to Lane other than, we're with you, bro, and we'll do whatever we can to help you out. So there. I don't really speak to the legal aspects of this because I'm not a lawyer. I don't believe anybody watching is necessarily qualified to give legal advice, but we're doing what we can, and encouraging one another and hoping for the best. And what I've been seeing as well is the Lane haters. I mean, there's a lot to learn from what they're saying. For one, again, being from Canada, this is just my opinion. There's a lot of people south of the border that really hate Americans and the United States of America and the Constitution and what it stands for. That's just seems to be reality. A lot of these people would be a lot happier in China. Just move there where it's safe and secure, and the government will tell you what rights you need to have, and that's the end of it. But it's clean, it's affordable. They'll take care of everything for you. Just load up the boats and ship them all off to China is why. And we've got a number of people up here in the 51st state that they don't represent Canadian culture or tradition or anything. Uh, uh, so, without getting too political, well, it's hard not to because it seems like this is a political game. Like Lane is a political prisoner, in my humble opinion. And but listening to the haters, like, do some of them have something of value that we can learn from? Well, there's a few law channels, like some of the idiot channels are really got nothing. I mean, even uh, the Shedder. I mean, like what's his thing? He's going live and gloating over Lane being locked in a jail. Like like what is that? You know, you clearly don't value freedom of speech and constitutional rights if you're gloating over Lane being locked up because you have a YouTube beef with him. Like, grow up. So that's just my 2 cents worth on that. But others, there's this one lawyer type dude. It sounds like he's in family law, Merb something or other, and he's brought up a couple of interesting points. I don't think he's right up to speed on the whole situation that Lane's been going through. So there's a kind of a lack of familiarity with the whole case, and yeah, Canadian truckers, that was a joke. I mean, the Emergency Act. I mean that's a whole live stream in itself. But give you a breakdown. A bunch of trucks were honking horns, and then people complained, so they stopped honking the horns around the clock, and they were just doing it from certain hours, from sun up to sunset, in protest of something that ought to clearly have been a human right, a right to protest, a right to freedom of speech, a right to autonomy over your own body, this, that, and the other, and the organizers were working with the police in Ottawa, Ontario, where the protest was. Uh, Theft of a gas can, yeah. And the government's reaction was to declare an emergency and use what it used to be called the War Measures Act, but then it was renamed the Emergency Measures Act or something along those lines. But it basically allowed them to remove all due process in the name of national security and imminent public threat to life, limb, and property, which was ridiculous. And so that was all appealed. The government lost, uh, or the government was sued by somebody. I forget who. And then the government appealed, and they lost the appeal. So it was declared completely against the law, on a violation of our charter rights here, or constitutional rights, which are very similar to what you have in the states. Australia, you're in a mess there as far as your same boat as us as a Commonwealth nation. So sorry to be all over the place here, but just trying to work with what we got going in the chat, and it's all relevant, right? And I've been saying this for almost as long as this channel's been going. Is these grand flowing words and inspiring and empowering, written on pieces of paper or parchment, that we almost have a religious reverence towards. It's like those aren't worth the paper they're written on, and we've seen constitutional and charter rights deteriorate before our very eyes. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. You can't, if you're in the UK, you can't even say the name Tommy Robinson on YouTube. Otherwise, you'll get a knock in the middle of the night and threatened with charges and taken down for questioning and interrogation, like complete suspension of freedom of speech rights. And this is the place where we get our British common law. That's where the Magna Carta originated from. It's like that's just a dusty ass piece of legal paper that nobody pays any attention to anymore, right? So yeah, when it comes to constitutional rights and charter rights, I think it's almost there to pacify us in a way. And I've been saying there's the theory of law, and this is where Lane excels, is like seeing what needs to go on those pieces of paper as you're casting spells to and from the court. But the judge and the clerks and the lawyers, they're better spellcasters than you are. And kind of a long-standing position I've held is that if you have a legal matter, like you want to win your case on paper before it ever comes to showing up in court. And so Lane seemed to really have a handle on that, and where he kind of exposed that weak underbelly is trying to argue and litigate in front of the judge. And so he's had some kind of tenuous victories up to now, with Judge Ball and all these other ones that were getting dismissed. But it was that one in New Mexico, actually, on March 5th, I think it was, with Kathy Taylor. I mean, that was... I think there were some miscalculations on his part, in that he should have been focusing on that New Mexico case instead of worrying about people in the middle of the desert raising goats in their shed. So that was kind of a distraction, and it seemed like the timing of it was a little suspicious too. And then, boom, out of nowhere, this grand jury, phony baloney malarkey, comes out of nowhere. And so again, the timing of that, is it all just to protect Angel Moreno? Maybe. I don't know how conspiratorial I want to get about all this, but Lane was, and possibly still is, the people's champion. Like, he was doing something that I admired. He was taking it to them, using their rules, but eventually they came up with a strategy where he thought he was playing chess and dominating the board, but then they switched back to playing checkers, and they were just running circles around him. And that's what it seems to be now, is like strategically. So getting back to the theory of the law, taking those words and spells that they write on papers and tell them this is your law, And then Lane takes that, processes it, uses case law and Westlaw software to, again, write spells and cast them to and from the court. Stepping up from the theory of law, there's the application or the practice of law. And this is where he's getting whooped. It's their game, and they make the rules. They've always made the rules, and it seems like he's either going to have to relearn the rules fast or put his trust in somebody that knows the rules, knows the game, can help him get out as quickly as he can. It's not a matter of saving face. Like, it doesn't matter what he does at this point, whether he pleads out. Like, he's got to do what's best for Lane. I'm going to keep saying that. Like, you're not here for me. You're not here for us. You're not here for the Lane Myers nonviolent army. As you know, we want to win. Like, but you got to get this battle behind you. Like, if Mrs. Lane is getting anxious, like, we want to be a service to her too. You know, I don't want to go sticking my nose in anybody's private business, but Kat, if you could just stand by your man, like, Lane is needing you right now. But again, I don't know what's going on with all that. It's none of my business. It's just my opinion. But if that was me in jail, I'd want my girl on the outside, you know, on my side, most certainly. So yeah, there's kind of lots to wait and see. If Foshin kind of has, I've been running around all day. It's kind of a busy time. Springtime and fall time is busy for me, just in what I'm doing here on my homestead. So there's always kind of an increase in activity. So today I was running around Big Shitty. I'm about 45 minutes away from Winnipeg, which is my hometown, but I live in a homestead out here, and I got some animals and stuff I'm doing here, and some plans that we're going to move forward with through the summer. So stay posted for that, but I did want to just weigh in, give my 2 cents worth on Lane. Again, it's just everything is a kind of, there's no satisfaction in any direction you turn. Whether it's I can't text my buddy because the app won't let me, or the institution. It says the institution you're attempting to access needs to review your contact information and account. Well, that's been a week. You know, like, what are they looking for? I was able to register for an account. I provided them with ID and information that I wouldn't normally provide, and like, what are you investigating? Like, just approve the damn account. But they're under no obligation to serve me. I mean, is it a scam? It seems pretty scammy, but then the whole legal system seems pretty scammy at times. So in any case, what attracted me to Lane originally is that I saw what he was doing. He was trolling the government, using a YouTube channel to exercise his freedom of speech, to broadcast what was happening in his matters, and it was all fair game as far as I could tell. Like, YouTube wasn't shutting down his videos. I mean, if you can get past YouTube's community guidelines and their community standards and whatnot, terms and conditions, like, you pretty much got it made. And then all of a sudden, you know, grand jury convenes and he's public enemy number one, being held without bond. Like, seriously. Again, we're all Lane Myers. If they could do it to him, I got to put that disclosure on the description of this live feed. Like, anyone clicking on this live feed is liable for contacting me indirectly, and you may, as a result, be convicted of criminal charges just by watching my image. I feel threatened and harassed if you click on my content. It's ridiculous, right? But that seems to be what's happening, and whether this person lied or that person lied or that person is no longer working with us and we can't amend this. And but just hearing the that listening to that hearing from Friday or whenever it was, you could hear Lane making these conclusory arguments. He was coming to conclusions, but they weren't legal arguments, and the judge kept essentially sweeping them off the record. The judge said, "Well, that's not established. Like we haven't determined that yet. That's not true." And so Lane wasn't getting anything on the record. Today, I'll have to go give another listen. Guilty? You're guilty? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, if I can find you, there may be some charges I bring against you, but I think you'll probably be okay. I'm thinking of other people that I'd prefer to prosecute in a civil matter like that. But how many puppies we got in there? Winter's been good to me. In any case, yeah, what Lane was doing through his channel, and he did and does have a mastery to sift through these laws and the procedure. To me, it was the procedure that was of such value, to go through the rules of civil procedure, criminal procedure, and learning the difference between, I'm in Canada, but how your system works with the circuit courts and the city court and district courts and this prosecutor and that, and state, federal, county, sheriff's department, and then the difference between a motion and just a filing versus a hearing versus a trial, just getting the lingo and the language, familiarity. Because most of us don't have experience in courts, and Lane was actually giving me a lot of background as to things to be aware of. And so I found huge value in that, just that alone. And so for that, I am thankful. And I'm curious to see what happens going forward. Like I can't say I know the strategy to go. Yeah, most of us don't speak legalese. Lane was seeming to be fairly fluent in it, and having someone living in your house who's also quite fluent is amazing. It seems like he was friends or associates with people that were fluent in that language. I myself, not so much, And I've always, in the back of my mind, wondered, not that I am intending to break the law, but this is proof positive. You don't need to have broken any laws. Like, what was that saying in Soviet Russia during the Stalin years? Joseph Stalin said, "Show me the man and I'll show you the crime," meaning you don't have to perform an illegal act. Just bring me the man and we'll put something on him. And it seems like that's the case here. Now, how do you go about proving that? Well, that's where it's not just a matter of legalese, but you gotta be able to box with that kangaroo, and kangaroos can be quite vicious. So that's where we're at. How to be a better support? I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? What are we gonna do next? Wait and see. Simba in Australia. Like, are you gonna attempt to reach the United States government in any kind of way? Like, I don't see a value in that. I don't even know if that's kind of an appropriate response. I've been posing a scenario where, up here in Canada, if say we had Chinese Communist Party or Beijing wanting to interfere in our legal system, how is that any different from a Canadian interfering in the United States legal system? So if there's Americans watching that say, no, you need to do this just because on principle, well, all right. But again, is the Arizona governor going to pay any attention to a letter or an email from someone outside of his country, let alone his state? It, it's it, it's kind of throw your arms up in the air. I'm not sure what to do at this point. So I want to do something, but I don't really know what to do. So with that, there'll be more to say about the Lane Myers situation. If anybody is in contact with Lane, tell him hi for me. He doesn't need to reach out for me. He doesn't owe me anything. I want to see him get what he needs out of this. Just not sure what to do. If there's something I can do, someone get in touch with me, and I'll do to the best of my efforts. My approach has always been to show up to Lane Myers' channel to learn what's going on. It's not to be the expert. Lane was the star of the show, and I just showed up. My intention was just to be a retard and troll the chat as hard as I could while learning, and we had good times. That was a lot of fun in those chat streams. But I'm getting a lot better sleep now that there are no middle of the night chats or live streams. I mean, when he goes live at 9, I'm just ready to put my head on the pillow at 11 p.m. and then we're going until 3 in the morning my time. It's like this is a bit of a break. So Lane, when you get out, do earlier live streams, please. But I know why he did that. I know why he said nothing for an hour and just went on and played the air hammer, and just it was to waste people's time that were watching. Whether it was the FBI or the Tucson police or the U.S. Marshals or the prosecutor's office or anybody involved with the victims in this case. It was to waste their time, and so that's why you had these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour marathon streams. It was to chew up their time because they wanted to see what he was going to do, and that's an ingenious strategy. Yeah, make them stay up late, and they got to get up the next morning. They got to be at work at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or whatever time they're expected to show up. But if you're up till 3 in the morning watching Lane Myers, well, maybe you're not as sharp when you show up for your regularly scheduled duties in the morning. So yeah, I feel you, Simba. So yeah, this is getting the word out. There's only a handful of people watching here. Maybe a few people will pick up on this after the fact. There'll be more to say. I've been hanging out on Bao's channel, and his approach is just go full sov sit, and I've looked at that sovereign citizen position years ago. I've been looking at the legal side of things for almost 20 years. Never went full sov sit. I'm not even sure what that means by what Bao's saying, but I do see there's kind of a statist mentality that believes in the government, believes that the laws are there, and that the justice system, if you haven't broken any laws, you're going to not have to worry about being incarcerated or punished or receiving any damage. And for a long time, I haven't believed that. With Lane, it seemed like he was developing a track record to demonstrate that there might be some potential in that statist system because it's easier. If the system operates the way it does, or the way it ought to, pardon me, not the way it does. The way it does is to damage people that aren't part of that elite class or that aren't part of that spellcasting class. And if it worked as it ought to on paper, according to the letter of the law and respecting the spirit of the law, life would be a lot simpler. You know, just follow the law, just do. But that's not what I've been seeing. You know, I've been looking at a lot of the cop watching material, most recently in the last year, and whether it's First Amendment audits or James Freeman, and you know, there's a bunch of people doing great things. There's a lot of people doing things I don't agree with. Uh, that's kind of another video for another time. Uh, but all you need is crooked toenail, and you're getting put in handcuffs, thrown in the back of a cop car. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And with all this talk of Canada becoming the 51st state, the reality is uh, we're about as free as you are down in the States. We don't have a Second Amendment enshrined in the same way you do, but we're allowed to have guns. We're there's some restrictions, and there's not a ton of gun violence. At least not where I am. Uh, it's there, you know. There's gun crime, but the gun crime in the States is just kind of off the chart. And that's not a criticism against your Second Amendment. I'm all for the Second Amendment, but the point was our prison system and our penal system is not uh, privately a private for-profit system. So the cops aren't benefiting financially. They aren't greasing the wheels every time they pull somebody over, looking to arrest them and put them in prison. That's not the reality here in Canada. I don't know what it's like in Australia. I imagine it's the same, but our prison system, our jails, it's all publicly funded, and we don't have the infrastructure. Whereas in the States, if you fill up one prison, they get the machines out, they start leveling a piece of land, and then start building a new prison and fill that one up and fill that one up, and people are getting the monies. It's pretty scammy, all told. But here, like we just don't have the room to fill up prisons and then just build new ones. Like, we don't have the tax base. You know, you're approximately 10 times our size in the States as we are here in Canada. And so we don't get that same kind of harassment from the cops up here. You know, they can be pricks, all right. They, you know, getting pulled over for doing 7 miles an hour over the speed limit, like really? Like, come on. So we do face the same kind of injustices, but we aren't getting thrown in handcuffs if the license plate light isn't working on our pickup truck. I mean, just some of the ridiculous video I've seen in the last year. I don't want that system here in Canada. You can keep that. Here we go. I don't even know if this is legal on YouTube. I've been doing this every night for the last 3. Drinking raw milk from my own cow. So, raw milk's a dangerous substance here in Canada. You get thrown in a cage if you handle that substance incorrectly. More dangerous than crack and heroin and meth and fentanyl combined. Oh baby. This is like $500,000 fine for depending on how you handle this particular substance here. It's so good. It's so good for you. But yeah, that's about all I had, other than if anybody's been watching my regular content, the videos, I've been doing some music stuff. So there was a nice music haul today. Keep talking about this album tomorrow. I picked that one up today. Got myself a new turntable. I got to figure out how to hook up to everything, and then I got another stack here. So that's part of today's haul. So I'm gonna shoot a video probably tomorrow, and we'll go through that stack. If there's any music fans out there. So just a little teaser. But where are we at here? 45 minutes. Kind of short and sweet. If you guys in the chat have anything to say, any questions, it's kind of open forum. Seems that only Simba is kind of trying in at this point. Glad to have you. Glad to see you at, people all around the world looking at this case, cheering him on. And yeah, he's got the fight in him, or at least he had the fight. I don't know what's going through his head right now. Pray for him if that's your inclination. Talk too much. Well, start a YouTube channel. Start blabbing, and whatever. That's what I've been encouraging people. I did a whole series at the beginning of January. I started this channel, and I did a series of what inspired me to go from being a YouTube watcher to a YouTube creator. And if you find yourself in chat rooms and leaving comments on everybody's videos that you're watching, it's time to start a channel because you have something to say. You may not think you do, but just go ahead and do it. Free Lane Myers, we're all Lane Myers. Like at this point, well, what do you got to lose? Like YouTube is actually looking or encouraging this kind of low quality, low budget, podcasting, vlogging, however you want to call it. They're catering to the small channels, the micro content creators, and get your message out there. Like there's something valuable you've got to put out into the world. So yeah, don't be shy. Get out of the chat room and start your own channel. Just go for it. Other than that, hashtag Free Lane Myers. Hashtag We're All Lane Myers. We'll be watching. So there's a few channels. Jason Zwack, I think his name is. He's been doing some coverage. I haven't had time to look at all the content I want to, just by virtue of time constraints. So yeah, it's going on whatever information is available. Some of the information is garbage because people just don't know what's going on and they're guessing. Other people is like, okay, there's something there, but how do we connect you and your message with, maybe Lane needs to hear this, or Foshin can relay messages. So I don't know. Like I'm not in the loop. I don't have a direct channel to Lane, so it's a matter of seeing how we can pull together as a community, because it's not that I'm trying to keep one foot in the statist side and one foot in the anarchist side. I think the system that works best is an optional system where you can opt out. If you want to be a statist bootlicker, that's fine. But if you want to go at your own, like I'm in a rural area. Farmers are fiercely independent. They're, maybe I'm antisocial and I just don't want to be around people, but I couldn't get out of the city fast enough. And like for people that want to be more or less self-reliant, just govern us gently. Don't make an imposition on our lives. Try to micromanage every aspect of our lives. Like that authoritarianism isn't going to go far. Authoritarianism always ends up in the ash pile of history. Like it's just inevitable. So whether we're on the decline as far as Western civilization, who knows? Whether there's going to be a resurgence and a renaissance of freedom and libertarianism, like true liberty, I don't know. It's kind of irrelevant at this point. For the most part, I get to do what I want to do without anybody telling me what to do. As long as I don't piss off my neighbors, I get to enjoy pretty much all the freedom and liberty I can handle. I don't go looking for fights. Whereas Lane, it seems like on principle, he's willing to get in people's faces and press the matter as far as he can, and I admire that. There's a place for that, but there is that. I don't know if it's an old saying or a recent internet meme. FAFO. You fuck around and find out. Well, this is the finding out, but it's like what is Lane's response? So we're all watching. We're all pulling for him, and yeah, I want to see the Kangaroos uh, defeated. I want to see what if you're watching this video, if you believe in fundamental justice and human rights and constitutional rights. I want to see Lane walk free and to prevail and overcome, and that true justice would be done. Because what we're seeing with the likes of Judge Ball, kidnapping Lane, judges that don't even bother to read his motions, uh, is that what justice is? Not in my books. I mean, I've made it clear on other content I've posted. I'm a believer. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior, and that there is a judgment day. That the King of Kings and Lord of Lords will judge everyone. So there is a day of reckoning for all. If I'm wrong, that's okay. It's not going to make a difference, but I do believe in truth and fundamental justice, and it seems that our legal system and our justice systems and in these these uh, these countries that pride themselves on having such a track record of civil rights and defending human rights, it's a bunch of bullshit. And if it's not, I mean, we could do a Bible study. I'll sit you down here, Kathy Taylor, or Judge so and so, or Rachel Stiles, or whoever needs to hear it. Like you're you're playing around with people's lives, and that's not good. That's not good. Lane doesn't deserve to be in a cage for sending for leaving a voicemail on a public employee's publicly uh, published phone number. Like, that's not fundamental justice to put him in jail with no bond. Like, it just isn't. I don't care how much you cry, how harassed you feel. I may as well bring this up now too. I mean, I think our downfall, and I'll close with this, and this is maybe where I'll get a bunch of hate, but I don't feel that women are suited to positions like this where they have authority over people's lives, because men and women do not think the same. Uh, I don't know if men fundamentally understand this, uh, so I'm kind of speaking to the women right now, but men don't think the way you do. Um, when a man says something, he expects you to take it at face value. Where when women talk, you're expected to be able to read their minds and read what they're meaning, or how they're looking for you to respond. Whereas with men, that's not how we operate. And it's almost like when you put on that black robe, or you put on that prosecutor's, uh, you know, dress suit, or however you suit yourself up to appear in court, is like when you're looking across the aisle at a male offender, you're attributing things to him that are going on in your imagination. And in his imagination, he's just following the law. He's just saying words. And there's not much more to interpret. Uh, there's no underlying threat. There's no meaning that you're supposed to uncover. It's plain speech. And in what I heard from what Lane said, it might be a little troubling to be getting attention from Elaine, but it's in no way harassment in that you feel your life is endangered by, again, a voicemail, an email, and then other people that aren't even party to this are are not happy with your behavior, and somehow we all uh, are liable for harassment, and Lane is punished. Like it's no, 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 no. And so this is where I feel like a woman's judgment is not valid in a lot of these matters. It's men are black and white when it comes to some of these things, and women are looking for extra meanings or hidden meanings that just aren't there. They only exist in the imagination. So again, it's not to offend the fairer sex, but when it comes to these kinds of matters, uh, it's hard to be impartial and rule without a bias because your thinking is just not suited for this type of processing, this type of analysis, this type of judgment. It's just not. So that's my opinion. Uh, you can try to school me on that or correct me. That's not misogynistic. It's just the sexes are different and we think differently. We feel differently. Men aren't emotionless, but when it comes to matters like this, a woman's thoughts and imagination, and for crying out loud, I mean the hormones that a woman experiences once a month, or even more often, just the different hormonal processes. They don't. That's not conducive to being impartial and the word I'm looking for is at the tip of my tongue, and I don't know what it is, but it's not. Is not honorable when when you can rage because your hormones are not in balance for the task at hand. And so that's about all I want to say about that for now. We can open up that can of worms another time, but that's just how I feel about it. Like it's a lot of problems could be solved if it wasn't women that were in these places of authority where their skill set is uh, not ideal for the task at hand, which is administering justice and judgment. So that's it for now. Any final comments, my friends, my fellow criminals, thought criminals? The thought police have not yet come for me. Maybe I'll get that knock on the door in the middle of the night and they'll whisk me away. But for now, I'm still sitting here sipping raw milk in my homestead. So if they are after me, they know where to find me. They know my name. It's all good. So yeah, if there's no other comments, I think I'll shut this down and you can get to your regularly scheduled programming. And I'll upload some more video in the next couple of days, and we'll see about going live some more this week. So now that I've figured out the phone thing, wow, I think this is much better, much easier. I had What's the Matter You in here last night. He was helping me with my sound, so if you guys can weigh in on the video, leave me comments what I can improve. If the sound level's okay. I'm shooting in vertical today. I'll have to figure out about doing horizontal. I hate vertical streams. I don't know if maybe you could tell me answer this question if you're still in the chat. Are you watching on a phone or a laptop? Like, do you like vertical or do you prefer horizontal? I'm a horizontal guy because I mostly watch YouTube content, and most of my other stuff I do on my laptop. I I, I don't use my phone for video streaming or watching videos. So that's right. It is my channel. I get to say what I believe. But anyways, if you could weigh in on that, I'm curious. Like, how are people watching? I'm not interested in getting the TikTok crowd or the youth. Uh, they're gonna click on this and see my face and say, "Forget it, boomer," and they're gonna click away. So it's the Gen Xers. You know, some millennials are of some value to this movement. Yes, the laptop people. So if there are younger people that resonate with this kind of thing, you know, you're welcome to stay. But that's not the crowd I'm going after. I'm going after for the crotchety old don't give a shit crowd. Don't care what anybody thinks. That's me. So yeah, I'm straight up Gen X. I was born in '71. So if Gen X was 65 to 1980, I'm like smack dab in the middle. I've done content on this. If you go back to some of my videos, you'll. I'm basically just telling the story of who I am and how I got here, and scattering in some of my opinions and feelings about certain topics along the way. But basically, just telling the story of my life. People tune in and listen to that. Well, that's fine. So yeah, you're just a last of the boomers, first of the Gen Xers. You're kind of that in betweeners. Like my parents are the full on boomers. Like they had everything handed to them on a silver platter, whereas if you're just in your mid to late 60s, it's like you're the trailing end of the boomers, and you know all the best opportunities were gone. You know, you kind of were the forgotten tail end of that boomer generation. Uh, it's not that, you know, making a judgment on who you are, but you know the height of the baby boom generation, they had basically everything handed to them, and they're some of the most entitled people on the planet. Whereas my generation, we had to raise ourselves. My parents were doing their boomer thing, and whatever. I got to experience a lot of freedom as a child, as a youth, as a young adult. Like it was wonderful. You know, we were gone at after breakfast. You didn't see us until after the sun went down. Like we were out doing our thing, and our parents were doing their thing, and nobody asked questions. You know, tell me, don't ask me no questions. I won't tell you no lies. Right? That's the way we rolled, and so the Gen Xers are very self reliant. We're kind of built for this kind of fight, and uh, I think it's time for us to rise up and take our place as rulers of the internet, as we master the technology and these platforms. I think our message needs to go out that the bullshit needs to stop. We're not doing woke. We're not doing politically correct. Like we've had it. You know, we've been silent too long. You know, I'm 50. Was it 2025? I'll be 54 this year. What happened? And totally lost my train of thought. It's not important. It's not important. There's lots to say, but oh yeah, you know, people in my age group, we were starting families when the internet came out. We were struggling to get a house, and you know, trying to create a lifestyle where we could live within a budget. So getting involved in the electronic boom here, the computer age, you know, we can do it. It's just we had other things we were focused on. But now, as we're getting older, we have time. We might have some money and security where we don't have to be working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. You know, we've been there, done that. And and when YouTube, as an example, opens its arms wide to people like us and says, you know, come on in and make some content for us, it's like, I don't care who's getting paid. I'm not even looking to get paid, but we have something to say, and now's our time. We can say it. Like, we were basically overlooked. Like, all those boomers, they stayed in those positions, whether government positions or leadership positions in corporations. We got passed over because so many, you know, life expectancies have been extended now. People are living longer, they're working longer. You know, some people retire early, but you know they'll still keep their position on the board of directors, and so it's hard for the generations coming behind to get a foothold in these positions of power. And so we're gonna take that power however we can, and if it's through a tiny YouTube channel reaching a handful of people, we're going to gather our little communities around us and we're going to rally. And yeah, I started using computers too, but when it came to the internet, it like we're in a unique positions that we remember the before times when there were no devices and computers. And so yeah, if you kind of stayed on top of the technology, that's great. Uh, but it's like the millennials; they were the ones that were doing the redditing and you know 4chan and 8chan, and you know really led to the meme culture that arose, and then Gen Z weaponized that meme culture. Now Generation Alpha, they're they're poised to take control of everything. They all they know is social media. They live on social media, and it's called Gen Alpha brain rot. They're becoming this hybrid human uh, computer hive mind consciousness. It's really something to see where uh, you know the millennials and Gen Z are terrified of them because they don't understand their language. The Gen Alpha, they hate everybody except themselves. You know, it's not narcissistic. It's just they don't trust anybody because look at what we've done. Well, look at the world we've left them. And so so it's like generation Generation Z and the millennials are like, oh, their memes are so weird and the way they talk is scary, and I don't, like they're just showing how irrelevant they are, and I'm like, go Gen Alpha, like they're gonna transform the marketplace, they're gonna transform economics, like we're on the cusp of a major shift, a major revolution, if you will, an electronic one, and Gen Alpha are going to be in the driver's seat, and I'm going to be sitting back cheering them on, loving every minute, and trolling from the sidelines, you know. And so, if there's millennials and Gen Z that want to join our movement, you know, you're welcome to come. But we don't allow crybabies. We don't. We're not interested in excuses. Again, we were brought up to raise ourselves. We're a tough bunch of old bastards, and we're looking for people that want to join our nonviolent army. But words are not violence, and if we say something on their internet that upsets you, well, that's your problem, sunshine. So that's my snarky, crotchety old opinion for April 1st. This isn't an April Fool's joke. This is how I really feel. And with that, I think we'll shut her down. And great to talk with you, Simba B. Hope to see you again. And we'll do this again real soon. Bless you guys. Have a great evening. Talk to you later. I have no idea how to shut this down. Let's see here. I'm just going to hit the X. Yes, I want to stop streaming. Bye bye, guys.